I want somebody to tell me if I'm crazy or not. Ladies and gentlemen, this is another story out of Ohio. How many stories can I do out of Ohio? Like, why do they always seem, on my channel at least, to have the highest number of reports of things happening to children? It's just unbelievable that one state, let alone some of these particular cities, which I'm not going to call them out right now, bring out some of the worst stories. But let me give you a disclaimer before I dive into this and talk about the individuals that you guys see on my screen. Here's your disclaimer. Some viewers may find the following content offensive and controversial. The information in this video comes from multiple sources, including court records, official police charges, news web articles, and interviews. This video commentary also contains my personal opinions about the facts of this story. The point is to use this story as a cautionary tale in hopes of preventing tragedies like these to children going forward. Viewer discretion is advised. That is your official disclaimer. And thank you very much. If I'm not mistaken, I think this is coming out of Columbus, Ohio. I know y'all know I used to get a lot of stories coming out of Cuyahoga and Cleveland. So this is coming out of Columbus. I don't really know if there's a correlation there, but nonetheless. An Ohio woman and her boyfriend. Can we get a hashtag mom's boyfriend? Since that website doesn't exist anymore, I think somebody might have gotten it taken down or might have deleted the website. I don't know. But I thought it was a good website because what they did was they pointed out this particular scenario where children are obviously brought into situations and being left with people or being forced to live under the roof with people who are not qualified to be around children. Mom's boyfriend. A mother and a boyfriend have been arrested for allegedly murdering her 8-month-old son. And I'm getting this information from lawandcrime.com. Thank you guys for the article. They do an amazing job. Records show that Savannah Dawson, let me see if I can go back to her face. That's a beautiful baby. That's Savannah Dawson, 23 years old, and Ky'air L. March Jr., I hope that's how you say his name, 24 years old, were booked Friday for murder into the Southeastern Ohio Regional Jail. As reported, police in Columbus, Ohio, I'm trying not to say cops because I know that Lee Hellinger tells me all the time, say police, don't say cops. But police in Columbus, Ohio had been seeking them for allegedly murdering that infant baby that you guys see on my screen. He is or was 8 months old. Let me see if I can get a bigger picture of him on the screen because let me see, which one is it? I'm going to put up my favorite picture, which is this one, the one we just showed. That one's a good picture, but I think this one's a great picture. That's the biological dad in that picture. I'm going to see if I can maybe crop him out just for a moment. Just because I want to focus on the baby. I want y'all to take a look at this. That is a cute baby. He looks happy. I know his dad loves him. And you would just have to ask yourself, what is going on with these people, let alone in the state of Ohio, that you could look at a face like this and get mad and disrespect this child, whether it's not feeding them, whether it's beating them, whether it's losing your temper or whatever the case is. Maybe it's something in the water out there. I don't know, because it's so many cases of moms and boyfriends abusing these children. Do you guys remember one of my famous stories on my channel that started my channel, Anaya Day Garrett, who was murdered by her mother, Sierra Day, and her boyfriend, Deontay Lewis. I don't know how I always remember that name, but I always remember it. They participated in the murder of that little girl, of Anaya Day Garrett. And that was in Ohio also. It just seems to be a very crazy trend of mom and mom's boyfriend. And I'm just calling that out because I just think it's quite odd. Okay? Now, that little baby that you just saw on my screen, let me back it up. His name is Marquel Smith. It's either Markel Smith or Marquel, Marquel. So I'm not sure which one it is. I'd love to pronounce his name correctly. I want to put some respect on his name. So Marquel Smith. Officers were dispatched to the home on Monday about a report of a child not breathing, according to documents. He was taken to a hospital where he was pronounced dead, and doctors discovered suspicious serious injuries. Columbus Police Homicide Unit was notified after doctors at Children's Hospital found numerous broken bones. Now, the article that I'm reading from, let me read to y'all what it actually said. The title of it says, Ohio mother and her boyfriend arrested for allegedly murdering her infant son. Many broken bones. Many broken bones. That is no accident. That is intentional. Their intent was to hurt and kill this child. But why? Somebody said Dakota Collins was also out of Ohio. Y'all could probably fill up my chat with all the names of the children that have been murdered in Ohio just since in the 5 years that I've been doing YouTube. Said it's Markel. Thank you. So it's Markel. I'll call the baby Markel. He's a beautiful little baby. Multiple broken bones. Some broken bones were healing fractures, and the right leg was an acute fracture. That means they had to really been inflicting some serious, like, why? What could this baby have done that bad? And if you hated this child that much, and if you didn't want to be around this child, guess what you could have done? You could have given up custody to the dad. And you'd have to ask yourself, Mom, why didn't you want to give up custody? You guys remember that story I was just talking about with Anaya Day Garrett? I want you guys to remember that she had an opportunity to relinquish custody of her child to the dad, to Michael Garrett. And you know what the mom decided to do? 4 days before they were supposed to go to family court, Sierra Day and her boyfriend Deontay Lewis beat that girl to death. That she didn't get to make it to that court date, which the judge would have decided who that child gets to live with. They beat her to death. Does that not sound like what was going on here? They didn't want the dad to have custody. So in turn, not only do they end this child's life, but they also end their lives. Because I believe that if you get convicted of a murder charge, that's a life sentence. Maybe even harsher if they have the death penalty. So you're willing to take 3 entire human lives off the table just so this man can't raise his child? Really? It's for the benefits. The mom would lose the benefits. And the mom decided to get emotional and said, you know what? Instead of him taking my child and me losing custody of this child, I'd rather kill this child before I lose all of the benefits that I'm collecting, whether it be Section 8 food stamps or child support or control over that man or control over that baby. That's what we call babies for benefits. It's a very spiteful thing. Now let's keep going. Officers said that they brought in Dawson and March in for questioning, and the couple allegedly said that they had no idea how Smith received his injuries, so nobody knew a fucking thing. Isn't that incredible? Excuse my language. But they suggested that other children in the home could have been responsible, so they had other kids there, and notice how they didn't do this to the other kids. They only did this to this one kid, right? But then they turn around and blame their children. So these people are so inhumane that instead of them stepping up and taking responsibility for what they did to Markel, they decided to blame the other children instead. The couple allegedly said they had no idea how this happened, and they said the other children could have been responsible. Miss Dawson did not know how Markel Smith received so many broken bones and claimed that the other three-year-old children may have been to blame. That's according to detectives who wrote in a probable cause affidavit against the mother. Miss Dawson was released pending further investigation. Now how they released her, I think that's another thing that Ohio got wrong. Why did she get released? Now, authorities did not identify these other children, But Markel's father, Georgia resident Deshaun Smith, I'll let you guys hear from him, denied that his two daughters, who also live with Dawson, were responsible. Oh, wow. They loved their bubby, he told WRGT on Thursday during the search for his ex-wife Dawson and her boyfriend March. They would get onto you, a grown person, for messing with him. That makes that statement. The further investigation ended with a doctor reaching a pivotal conclusion. I don't know why I'm getting tongue-tied. Sorry. Reached a pivotal conclusion. Markel Smith's death was a homicide. The Franklin County Coroner's Office did the autopsy on Wednesday, documents stated. They determined that Smith died from blunt force trauma. The doctor who performed the autopsy says Smith suffered from brain bleed, several bruises, and on the subdermal skull. The child's numerous broken bones were consistent with abuse and not accidental in nature, the autopsy determined. Dawson and March surrendered in Perry County, according to WTTE. That was reportedly in the mother's hometown of New Straitsville. That's an area that she knew a lot of people, most likely seen her, Deshaun Smith told the outlet. They weren't going to get far just knowing their situation with the people around them and stuff like that. They weren't going to make it that far. So let me let you guys hear the news videos. Let me get that up here. Let's get it. Federal law allows citizens to reproduce, distribute, or exhibit portions of copyrighted motion pictures, videotapes, or video discs under certain circumstances without the authorization of the copyright holder. This is called fair use. It is allowed for purposes of criticism, news reporting, teaching, and parody, which doesn't infringe of copyright under 17 U.S.C. 107. I just don't really think people understand how stupid they sound. Like, you talk about 3-year-olds breaking babies' bones. It's not impossible, but just not likely. That sounds like adult behavior, bad behavior. Here we go. If y'all would, do me a favor and hit that thumbs up and share this video. And let me know what you guys think, because I know this story is very gut-wrenching, but let me know what you guys' real thoughts are. Here we go.
Right now, this couple is on the run. These two here charged in the death of an 8-month-old baby boy.
Yes, we've been following this story for several days now. The baby died Monday night of blunt force trauma. 10 TV's Brittany Bailey is asking questions of police. She is live tonight with the update. Brittany.
Well, Andrew and Yolanda, our biggest question so far has been, why was this couple taken into custody for questioning and then released? Well, here's the response from police when we asked that exact question today.
Both mom and boyfriend were taken into custody for questioning the night that the baby died. And then after that, were released, and now they're gone.
So, good question. So when we have situations like any homicide investigation, or really any criminal investigation, we want to make sure we get it right. And so sometimes that means we have to slow things down a little bit. It might mean that we get interviews. We might have to work with the coroner's office. We might gather more information, and then charges could play out. So if that's a thought, which I think that's a reasonable thought and question, there are reasons behind that, and that's part of the investigative process.
Well, now, both 23-year-old Savannah Dawson, the baby's mother, and 24-year-old Ky'air March, the mother's boyfriend, are on the run tonight. Police say they've not heard about any sightings of the two, and while there is no official BOLO yet, they do have officers searching for the couple here in our state and beyond.
Y'all don't think that's suspicious how they disappeared and tried to run? I think that's indicative of guilt.
Now, this all started Monday night with a call to a home on Hiawatha Street in the South Linden neighborhood. The couple was taken in for questioning after 8-month-old baby Markel Smith died at the hospital. According to court records, doctors found the baby had several broken bones, some of them healing already, meaning they were old injuries. Both Dawson and March said they didn't realize the baby had so many broken bones and blamed the injuries on the other children in the home. Both were then released. Then yesterday, an autopsy showed the baby had a brain bleed, bruises on his skull, and broken bones the doctors said could not have been accidental.
I agree. Look, and let me ask you guys this, and I agree there's no other way. There's no way that those other children broke this baby's bones. I never believed that when they put that in the statement. But let me tell y'all this. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to step out on this tree onto a very thin branch. I'm going to go out on a limb here. Let me see if y'all follow where I'm going. Y'all ready for this, AFC? Y'all ready? How many people have even pointed in the direction of the biological father also for at least ignoring or neglecting the injuries? That's where I'm probably going to become unpopular, but I want y'all to remember that I'm an advocate for children first. If I was a dad and a parent, and if I were this man, I would be like, you know what? I understand. Thank you for advocating for my son. I appreciate that. I want all the questions to be answered. All the questions that there could be about what happened to my baby and his legacy, I want answers and definitive answers to those questions. This is the biological father, and from all accounts and from what everybody's saying, seems like he's a good dude. I'll let y'all hear his interview, and he seems like a good dude. I find it hard to believe that your son was 8 months old. He's very young. You spent time with your son. How does he have broken bones and you didn't notice it? You didn't notice pain. You didn't notice crying. You didn't notice redness. As a matter of fact, if y'all look right here, let me back this video up just for a second. This interaction.
Bruises on his skull and broken bones the doctor said could not.
Right there. I don't know if you guys can see that, but there's a mark on his face. I'm not saying that the dad did anything. I don't believe he did. But here's what I believe in being a good parent. And trust me, you guys, I co-parent my daughter also her entire life. My daughter will be 16 years old this year. So I'm speaking about what I know. I know what it's like to have your child living in a household with others and you not being in that household, and then you get a chance to get your child and you spend time with your child. And to be honest with you guys, I'll let you guys into a little bit of my personal life. When my daughter was young, and I'm going to give her mom a big shout out for this. If she gave me my daughter and my daughter had a scratch or a bump, my daughter's mom explained that scratch or that bump and had paperwork to back it up. In turn, even though it didn't happen, but if something were to happen to my daughter while she was with me, when I gave her to her mom, guess what I did? I would give her a perfect account of what happened. That's proper co-parenting. And so many of us have to co-parent nowadays because we're not bringing children into this world under a marriage, under the social construct that used to work for us back in the day. So we're having kids outside of marriage, so we have to learn to co-parent better. What I'm saying about this is I think it's impossible for you to have not known that your son was in pain and had broken bones within 8 months. How many times did you see him? Once or twice in 8 months? If he's an active dad like I think he is, I'm assuming that he saw his son multiple times a month. And if he had old injuries, then he would have known that those injuries existed. Known that something was wrong with his son, took his son to the hospital, get him examined and say, hey, I didn't do this, but I brought my son from the child's mom and maybe they had something to do with this. You would have been able to explain this long time ago. Now that's where I'm going to get on to these dads. And I'm sorry, I've done interviews with men and I've told them to their face, bro, there's more you could have did. You cannot be completely absolved. How many of you ladies out there believe that some of these men and fathers need to be held accountable for their lackluster roles also in these children's lives? Yes? Huh? And that's the real God honest truth. If I'm pointing the finger at them, that points the finger back at me also. I need to be a better father as well. I'm not a great father. I'm not even a good father. I think I'm a decent father. There's a mark under this child's eye. You can't ignore stuff like this. You would have noticed he had broken bones. And multiple broken bones at that? No, there's no way you didn't know that.
Been accidental. His cause of death was blunt force trauma and was ruled a homicide. The father of baby Marquel is heartbroken, but says he does not hold any anger in his heart.
Don't put hatred out towards nobody. Show nothing but love. Respect my son's name. Don't tarnish his name trying to do nothing senseless to these people. They gonna get what they get. That's just life. But just respect my son's name.
Now, I also did reach out to Franklin County Children's Services about this case. We were told that the agency had no prior.
I'm going to reserve my jokes about the father. I know y'all know me well enough to know that I tend to crack jokes, and I'm just not going to do it right now, damn it. I know some of y'all are probably laughing in the chat. I'm not going to do it, okay? So stop it. Stop it. Y'all being bad right now. Stop it.
Contact with the family prior to baby Marquell's death, and the other children who were in the home at the time are now in custody, in protective custody. Reporting live downtown, Brittany Bailey, 10 TV.
I'm Tracy Townsend. 10 TV News at noon starts with breaking news. Columbus police confirm the mother and boyfriend accused in the death of an 8-month-old baby turned themselves in to officers in Perry County. This happened about 2 hours ago. Savannah Dawson and Ky'air March Jr. are both charged with murder. That baby boy was found unresponsive Monday night. 10 TV talked with the baby Markel Smith's father. He says he just wants people to respect his son's name.
I want to be the first person to say, as a father, as I carry his name forever in my life, because my middle name is Marquell, that I'll be the first to push on. Show forgiveness, show grace, and show mercy, and show love to these people.
Court documents show the baby had a brain bleed and several bruises on his skull. Police say 3 other children were in the home when the baby died.
3 other children. Man. All these young babies. We just out here just making a bunch of... So there were 4 children under this roof. And they only killed 1. Couldn't let the dad have custody of one of them? And yes, I believe that the dad seemed to be a little bit dismissive, in my opinion.
Ten TV has been following this story all week, and you can be alerted first to the news.
Police say a couple charged in the death of an 8-month-old baby boy. He's now on the run this morning. NBC4 Cynthia Hill joins us now with the latest. Cynthia.
Well, good morning, Brad. 23-year-old Savannah Dawson, the boy's mother, and 24-year-old Ky'air March have both been formally charged with the child's murder. Police now say they believe they have reason to believe that the pair have fled the Columbus area. At this time, officers say March has ties to Michigan. We do not know whether the boy's mother, Savannah Dawson, has ties to any other states. In the autopsy report completed Wednesday, the Franklin County Coroner's Office concluded 8-month-old Markel Smith died from blunt force trauma. This after police found the baby unresponsive at a North Linden residence.
Well, look, you know what? Somebody in the chat said that I didn't say nothing about the man's neck tattoos. Well, look, I'm going to tell y'all. Can I be real with you guys? I'm going to be real while we're in the middle of this story. The hardest people on black people are black people. You guys know that about that story, Tyree Nichols, and this is probably the wrong time to bring it up, but I'm going to bring it up anyway. Do you guys know what incited at least one of those police officers to do what they did to that man? For that man allegedly having relations with that man's girlfriend or wife, whatever she was. And he dragged everybody else into it. The reason why I bring that up is because we tend to talk about police violence and all of that stuff like the big bad boogeyman white man is always out to get us. But it's so funny how whenever we have an all-black police force, the people who treat us the worst are people that look just like us. The rate of violence towards black people with an all-black police force was at an all-time high, and it had all-time complaints from people that look just like them. Why am I bringing that up? We're bringing this up to say about my personal experience that it seems like black women tend to really give me the hardest time. And I'm going to tell y'all something because I think this is the oddest thing in the world. I've had black women tell me that I'm gay, talk about my sexuality. I hate my mother, I hate my daughter, and I'm not a good father. All because I do stories like this. And if I would have made a joke about that man's tattoo and said that neck tattoos generally symbolize a thug, because what law-abiding citizen would put tattoos on their face and on their neck, right? I say that, and they turn around and say, well, you must be gay. You must hate black people. Why don't you never talk about white people on your channel like that? You don't have that same energy for white people. Huh. Do I not? For those who have been watching me for a while, maybe y'all can tell them in the chat. I know this ain't got a whole lot to do with the story, but I did want to call out the man's neck tattoos. I'm just saying, always throw that out there. That might be a yellow flag on the play. You might want to pull that yellow flag out your back pocket and throw it in the air. There might be a warning sign that you might be fucking a thug, ma'am. Right? Right, pasty girl? You might be fucking a thug. But then again, you might be a shitty mom. The fact that you have all of these kids under the age of 3 years old, and you got like, what, 4 kids under the age of 3 years old? Just, man, when does your pussy have time to heal? I'm sorry. I know that was disgusting. I'm sorry. That's my Tourette syndrome. I'm sorry about that, y'all. I apologize. I don't know where that came from. Why would I say such a thing? But for those who've been listening to me for a while, I have the same energy for everybody. What do we call them? We call them what? Snowbillies. We call them what is that other term that we call them? Hoodbillies, right? Grandma meth and grandpa meth, right? That dates the white people, right? What is that other one? Trailer park thugs, right? What else do we call them? We call them a lot of stuff. I don't know. When you date hillbillies, you date death, #hoodbillies. Hoodbillies is probably my favorite one. So if y'all ever hear somebody say hoodbillies, just know that they got it from my channel. I'm just telling you guys that when anybody hurts children, they get the same treatment on my channel as anybody, and I don't really care about the race. I don't even care what country it happened in. That's my point for even bringing that up. I don't care where it happened. I don't think that any children on planet Earth should be treated this way, let alone this 8-month-old baby who couldn't speak for themselves nor defend themselves against the tyranny of mom and boyfriend, should have had to suffer severe broken bones. It's flat out ridiculous.
Monday night. Later that night, he was pronounced dead at Nationwide Children's Hospital. The autopsy results leading officers to charge the pair with the baby's murder. Now,
thank you, Rampage Nicole. I might be a little different. You know, maybe I like to pronunciate my words. Maybe that's something that's frowned upon for a black man, to be able to speak properly. Because I didn't always speak properly. I had to kind of learn to speak just a little bit more proper. That way I can get through in this white collar world. And maybe even some of my blue collar jobs. But in order for me to be a salesman, yes, I had to learn how to talk a little bit better.
And March remain at large this morning. Brad, anyone with information on the whereabouts of Dawson or March are asked to contact Columbus Police. Now, Brad, I did speak to a neighbor and a business owner in that neighborhood a little more than an hour ago, who tell me they didn't know the couple personally, but that they know that the couple was new to the area and had lived in the area about 10 days or so.
So let's go ahead and end that right there. And again, to these two people, I think the fact that they ran is a very large red flag that they probably are guilty, and I hope that they find them guilty. I think the Ohio system needs a little bit more reform when it comes to people who are suspected of doing crimes to children. Man, don't let them go like we need to do more investigating. No, y'all need to start doing more arresting and charging and giving people 100 years in prison when babies are dead. Y'all are on the clock, Ohio. 2023, starting this month. Y'all got to start getting some of this stuff right. And here, I think they clearly got it wrong. We need to show the world and show this country that our babies' lives matter. And when there is a dead child, if we even suspect, if you even smell remotely guilty, They ass need to be sitting down there until they can get bailed out. But you need to charge them and charge them promptly. I think there was plenty enough evidence here to hold them beyond a like they weren't innocent beyond a reasonable doubt. Like they were both there. They both knew something was going on. But let me also additionally add this to the dad. Brother, I don't know what you was looking at when you went to pick up your son and you had your son with you at any point in time. You don't miss broken bones, pimping. You don't. You don't miss that. You don't call yourself a father, have your child, and miss broken bones. That don't happen. So I hope they look into that also. Because like I said, I think that everybody needs to take our babies and everybody needs to be held accountable for taking care of our babies. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section. I know I said a whole lot, even got into some of the political stuff, some police stuff, whatever it is. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section, because we're going to do this on my channel, because all of this circles back around to our children. Let me know what you guys think. Thank you. Guys, I need to preface this real quick. Please don't get mad. Please don't flag. I just have a lot to say about this particular story. I'm going to try to parse some of my words because I know we are in a politically correct society. I know we're in a very sensitive time right about now. But let me tell you guys this. I think that all of those things and your personal agendas can be put to the side when it comes to our children, to our babies. And I personally believe that anybody or any entity that does something wrong to our kids needs to be punished, and they need to be held under a microscope in the harshest way possible, okay? So that's my preface for this story before we dive into the details. Some viewers may find the following content offensive and controversial. The information in this video comes from multiple sources, including court records, official police charges, news web articles, and interviews. This video commentary also contains my personal opinions about the facts of this story. The point is to use this story as a cautionary tale in hopes of preventing tragedies like these to children going forward. Viewer discretion is advised. That is your official disclaimer. All right. Now I'm drinking that stuff. I didn't want y'all to wonder why my face was turning up. It's just very powerful. It's good. And I really hope that it makes me drop 20 pounds. But anyway, I'm getting this story from nypost.com, so thank you for the article. And as you guys can tell from the picture, and if you've read the title, then you know what this is about. So don't get triggered. We're just talking about a story that pertains to these children. A gay couple, these two individuals that you guys see on my screen from Georgia, are charged with molesting their two adopted sons and using them to record child pornography, also allegedly pimped, P-I-M-P-E-D, pimped them out to members of a local pedophile ring, according to a disturbing new report. I could literally talk for a half hour just about that one paragraph alone. Let's break a few things down. First of all, DJ Just J doesn't have a problem with people being a part of the LGTB. Being gay, do what you do, man. You know what I'm saying? I just personally believe that just like with heterosexuality, I think that homosexuality should be done behind closed doors. Is that not fair? If you're going to be heterosexual, I think that you talking about a man being with a woman, all of that should be behind closed doors. Y'all sexual activity should be behind closed doors. But I also believe that to be the same way for these people who overtly express their sexuality for the world to see. Right? I think that it's always been a damaging thing. Whenever, let me give you guys an example. A husband and wife has kids at home, and the wife is walking through the house, and the husband comes in and grabs his wife by her private parts in front of the kids. Is that appropriate? No, I don't think it is. I think there is a thing called decorum, and I think that needs to be expressed at all times when children are visible. Yes? I just think that it's not on fair playing ground when it comes to this particular community compared to the heterosexual community. I think that we judge the two very differently. Okay? Even then, if we're doing this and putting this out on First Street to make this to where it's more acceptable for people to live in their truth, to like and love who they want to love, then fine. Do what you got to do as long as it doesn't involve children. Right? What makes this even more odd is the fact that I'm almost positive that they weren't put through a rigorous routine in order to become parents. The reason why I say that is because even for regular couples, for regular people who go out and adopt children, they don't put them through anything rigorous. They're just like, hey, we need more people to come in here and adopt these kids, fill out a couple papers. Long as you clear background checks, you're good. Take the kids, and they're out of our hands. We'll maybe check on them once or twice a year. Am I right or am I wrong? And that has absolutely nothing to do with their sexuality. I think that all they did was went down there and filled out the paperwork, realized they didn't have nothing on their background and said, okay, you're good. You want a couple boys? Sure, have at it. You don't really know these people, but you really can't know people, which is why I also believe that when CPS or DHS or whatever it is adopts these children out, they need to be working these cases to make sure and check these homes out on a regular basis. Or otherwise, you don't need to have the agency there. Well, we don't have enough workers. Get some more workers. Pay them more. Matter of fact, we could even go into politics. Are y'all ready to go into politics? We're sending money over to all of these other countries. I'm not going to name any in particular because I know the YouTube algorithm, it has this thing and it picks up certain keywords. I'm not going to say them. But we're sending money out to all these other countries. Why are we doing that when we still have homeless people in America? We have teachers that are underpaid. And we don't have enough child protective services workers. Is that a fair statement? We have homeless people, broke teachers, and no CPS workers because the funds aren't there to pay them properly. That makes absolutely no sense. And yes, America and our kids should come first. Let's keep going to my next point. Not only should they be checked out just like everybody else, every other month, maybe every month, talk to these kids, get them interviewed. But how do you get to a point where you guys know that there is a pedophile ring? How do they know that? The people who investigate this and arrested them, how did they know to call this a pedophile ring? That means that you know that there's a lot of people involved, maybe even some people you can identify, and maybe some people you can go after for even participating in this, for allowing there to be a market. There can only be a market where there is demand. And if there is a demand, then you need to ask yourself, why is it that people are allowed to exploit these children in this way? They shouldn't even have a market to be able to exploit these children. But there's more I'm going to go into because I'm going to probably get in trouble for some of the things I'm about to say. But let's keep going. A months-long investigation by Town Hall revealed that William Dale Zullock, 33 years old, and Zachary Jacoby Zullock, 35 years old, allegedly used social media to prostitute their two elementary-aged sons. We're not showing their faces. Hashtag babies for benefits. They weren't doing this to be good fathers to these kids, to give these kids a home, to take them out of a system where they didn't have any real guidance. They did this for their own sexual and financial pleasures. I can guarantee you, if they were in this little pedophile ring or whatever it is that they call it, and they were providing the content, guarantee you they were getting paid. I guarantee you they were getting paid. And on top of that, that also makes them pedophiles because these children are prepubescent. And they also did it for their own sexual pleasures. This is absolutely babies for benefits. William Zullock, a government worker, ooh, and Zachary Zullock, a banker, were indicted August the 22nd on charges of incest, aggravated sodomy, aggravated child molestation, felony sexual exploitation of children, and felony prostitution of a minor. But the shocking investigation reveals in more detail the sickening abuse that the boys endured. So I hope you guys are ready to hear all of this. For the first time, it was revealed that the men allegedly pimped out their older sons, now 11 and 9 years old, to two other men in a pedophile ring. One of the men, Hunter Clay Lawless, who's 27 years old, told investigators that Zachary, whose Instagram bio describes him as Papa to our two wonderful boys and an activist, invited him multiple times to take part in sexually abusing the boys, Town Hall reported. However, Lawless claimed he never had physical contact with either child. Lawless also claimed that Zachary sent him multiple messages on Snapchat, including one that allegedly read, "I'm going to FUCK my son tonight. Stand by." One of the messages said, "I'm going to F my son tonight. Stand by." I don't know how much trouble I'm going to get in for saying this, but I think I'm going to stick my foot in the water and just see what happens. One thing that is prevalent in woman and woman relationships: violence. All right, do you guys know where I'm going with this? Woman on woman relationships, one thing that is prevalent in general, not all, statistically, violence. The relationships that have the highest rate of violence, woman and woman relationships, out of all domestic relationships. Why am I bringing that up? Because I think that there is a contrast between the two. There's two F words. I want to see if y'all are going to catch this before I actually say it. One side likes to fight. The other side likes to what? Woman on woman likes to fight in general, not all. Men on men in general, not all, like to what? And I'll go back to the statement that they posted here on nypost.com. The statement read on Snapchat, "I'm going to FUCK my son tonight. Stand by." Does that mean all? No, it doesn't ever mean all. But I just think that there is a dichotomy. There is a contrasting difference between those two. And I just think because it's something that nature doesn't necessarily employ as normal. Nature doesn't necessarily employ these behaviors or these relationships as the norm. Now, we can make them the social norm if we want to, and that's fine, and that's your choice. And I know I could get in trouble for saying that. But all I'm talking about is the actions of people. What can I show you guys to show you that what I've said is just based on facts? These men are clearly willing to do anything and everything, which is probably how they ended up getting with each other to begin with. And you know how ironic it is that they ended up getting two boys rather than a boy and a girl, or rather two girls. They got two boys because that's what they like for their own personal pleasures, right? Now, if I'm saying something that's inaccurate, factually inaccurate, you can tell me. But if it's just an opinion, you can leave your opinion. I really don't mind, but I'm just calling that out because I just think that there's some truth to that. He also sent images of himself sexually abusing the 11-year-old, according to the outlet. The two men were arrested on charges of soliciting an act of prostitution with an 11-year-old boy, according to the indictment. It is unclear whether Lawless and Armando Vizcarro Sanchez had any physical interactions with the boys. The Zulux, who lived in Oxford, an affluent suburb of Atlanta, adopted the children from a Christian special needs adoption agency. Wow. Y'all are going to go all the way to hell for that. Y'all are going to have a first-class ticket to hell for that. Wow. Let me read that again. They adopted the children from a Christian special needs adoption agency. So they were probably also thinking of taking advantage of these children who might not be that mentally inept. The boys were in 3rd and 4th grades with their adoptive fathers were arrested last summer. Deputies responded to the reports that a man was downloading child porn, raided the home in Loganville, where they found evidence the pair were engaging in sexually abusive acts and video documenting this abuse, police said at the time. During the raid, William was pulled out of his home with no clothes on. He was butt-ass naked. The government worker has admitted to forcing one of his sons to perform oral sex on him with the intent to satisfy his own sexual desire, according to a sworn affidavit cited by the Daily Wire. His husband admitted sending child sexual abuse material to several people, according to the news outlet. The couple had been active in the local LGBTQ community. Prominent LGBTQ publication Out magazine reportedly asked to feature their photos on its website, according to the Daily Wire. Town Hall said it spent months reviewing recorded jailhouse phone calls, court documents, and testimony from a relative who spoke exclusively with the outlet about the extent of the abuse, as well as the faster than expected adoption process that led to the nightmare. Now, I've talked about that. William and Zachary, who have pled not guilty, each face over 9 life sentences if convicted. Let me tell you guys this. Not only with him being a government employee and the other guy, what did they say he was? One was a government employee. See if I can find it. So a government worker and a banker. Thank you. So one being a government worker and one being a banker, maybe there's some extending charges from that. Maybe there's some additional charges because of the nature of who they're employed by. If that's the case, then fine. I think that's good. 9 life sentences. I mean, I ain't really got no problem with it. Anyway, let me give you guys the fair uses. It just seems like 9 life sentences. I don't know, man. Federal law allows citizens to reproduce, distribute, or exhibit portions of copyrighted motion pictures, videotapes, or video discs under certain circumstances without the authorization of the copyright holder. This is called fair use. It is allowed for purposes of criticism, news reporting, teaching, and parody, which doesn't infringe of copyright under 17 U.S.C. 107. When you guys watch my video commentary, which is what this is mainly about, is I always ask you guys to just listen with an open mind and an open heart. And if you disagree, we can We can talk about it in the chat. But like I said, just bring a valid point to the table and we'll talk about it in a decent manner. Here we go. Let's get it.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us tonight. Developing now, a couple is behind bars accused of producing child porn. Authorities say with their adopted kids. It allegedly happened at their Oxford home. CBS 46's Yasmina Alston is live for us in Walton County with these disturbing details. Yasmina, good evening.
Yes, Savannah, good evening, and very disturbing details indeed. The Walton County Sheriff's Office says that it was an investigation by the GBI that led them to the couple. According to authorities, the couple was making in their home. Zachary Zulak and his husband William Zulak are being charged for child sex crimes. The Walton County Sheriff's Office raided their home on St. Regis Way in Oxford and found that both men were engaging in sexually abusive acts and videotaping it with their adopted sibling children. The two children were taken out of harm's way, police saying that material was being downloaded, which was discovered during a search warrant in unincorporated Loganville. Now, we did speak with neighbors in that community off camera. They did not want to speak on camera, but they do say it was very shocking to find out that was happening, and they said it was awful for those children. We'll, of course, keep you updated as we learn more in this story. Live in Walton County, Yasmina Alston, CBS 46 News.
Yasmina, thank you.
You're watching The Isaiah Factor, uncensored.
And welcome back to The Factor Uncensored. Started a lot of naysayers to talking, many conservatives who said this, they've said all along we shouldn't allow same-sex couples to adopt children. When you hear individuals say that, Mike, your thoughts on that kind of reaction to this kind of case?
Well, one, that's not based in facts. At the end of the day, adoption decisions should be based on what's in the best interest of the child. And abusive parenting is wrong, regardless of sexual orientation, gender identity, or religious belief system. And by that standard and definition, we should be we shouldn't allow our kids to be adopted by people who are from faith communities, people who are potentially even Catholic, or people who are even passionate about Boy Scouts, because all these factors have contributed to some form of child molestation. When you think of Josh Duggar, when you think of just in Louisiana last week, a woman stabbed her kids because of a custody dispute, and she was in a heterosexual relationship. So this type of abuse is not immune or not just siloed to one particular community. This is something that we all should be aggressively fighting against.
Jack Vincent, your position on this, when many conservatives have said now this is why same-sex couples should not be allowed to adopt children?
Well, along those same lines, I think that I think that allowing same-sex couples to adopt can cause some issues in terms of confusion for the children. But for me to sit here and say that there's not been same-sex couples who have raised well-acclimated children is just false. But it would also, if you say a same-sex couple is going to go out and have all of their children, every same-sex couple is going to go out and make their children participate in child porn, is like saying every priest is bad, every cop is bad, every doctor is evil. I mean, it's just not true. I do think that if you're going to adopt, regardless of whether you are in a same-sex relationship or not, I think they need to do psychological background testing. I think they need to do some questioning to make sure that these people are going to be good for the child or children.
And Mike, would you disagree with that? Just psychological and background, which is standard.
Yeah, no, I definitely recommend that there's always to be a vetting in place when you're deciding where a child should be placed. There's over 40,000 Texans kids right now in foster care without stable permanent homes. And I can't imagine denying them a healthy, loving environment just because a couple happens to be part of the LGBTQ plus community. No child should be denied the stability and love of a forever home simply because the parents who want to provide them are gay. And yes, there are all types of contributing factors towards a child's mental health and their ability to cope with the world that we live in. And that all goes back down to healthy parenting, right? And that's not necessarily siloed to just queer parents. I would also argue that heterosexual parents need to be exceptionally mindful of how they're raising kids as well.
And here's the cold part about it. Here's the cold part about it. And this is what I think makes my commentary different than everybody else. Here's what makes me different. Let me give a shout out to my buddy Jamaica if he's out there listening. A shout out to my brother out there, JBR, if you're out there listening, bro. Good looking out, man. Appreciate that. Here's what they don't call out. There needs to be more accountability on CPS placing these children, but guess what? CPS has to have the finances and they have to have the workers, which means we have to pump more money into the CPS system. It needs to be funded better, right? So where are we going to get these funds from? Stop sending the funds outside of the United States. Don't you think that could maybe, what do you think we could do with $1 billion right now? Do you think that might help Ohio? Do you think that might help Texas place these children just a little bit better? Maybe encourage these workers to go out and check these homes just a little bit? Don't you think we could get a lot done with $1 billion, right? Maybe now isn't the time for us to be investing in these clean energy cars. These battery-powered cars, which are going to use energy anyway. Isn't that something? But we want to phase out all gasoline cars, but you don't have a way for us to not need gasoline anymore. Because guess what you're going to need if you run out of electricity? Generators. And what do generators run on? Gas. It's stupid. That's what I'm talking about. They won't talk about the problem is funding. I'm not against 2 qualified parents getting these kids. The problem is these 2 parents were not qualified. Hello. These parents weren't qualified. They weren't vetted. They weren't checked on. They had all the time in the world to be doing whatever they wanted to these little boys all day long, to the point to where they had time to film it and upload it and solicit, probably get paid off of it, pimping these kids. Do you know how much free time you got to have be doing some pimping, some online pimping? That's what they won't talk about. Everybody want to fight talking about, well, gay people have rights to adopt kids. Ain't nobody arguing that. But what I am saying is that the dichotomy between a man and a woman household is different than a woman and a woman household than a man and a man household. They're completely different. Their behaviors, their sexuality, their ideals and beliefs are completely different. And we can't just all say they're all the same, because that's a fucking lie. They're not all the same. 2 women raising a kid in a household ain't the same as a man and a woman raising a kid in the household compared to a man and a man raising a kid in the household. It's different. It's going to present you very different things, very different challenges, very different conversations. And that's the part that I just think that they're missing, and they're going to continue to. But as long as I'm here, I'm going to keep spitting the truth, though.
As definitely as it relates to making sure kids have a healthy mental health standard and atmosphere.
And this is to either one of you, if you want to answer this question, and I'd like to hear a response from both of you. Do you think what this Georgia couple has done and accused of doing has caused some damage for those who are looking for this type of red meat? To chase, saying, look, this is why they should not be allowed to adopt it. Either one of you can jump in. Do you think it has done some damage?
I think it has. But if you guys are watching, do me a favor and please click that thumbs up. If you're not able to chat, if you don't want to join in the channel membership, you don't have to. But at least click that thumbs up and you'll be able to leave a comment as soon as we're done. So hit that thumbs up if you would, please.
I think Republicans are in, or the far right specifically, are in a space where they would try to find anything to discriminate against communities that they disagree with, whether you're a woman, whether you're part of the LGBTQ plus community, whether you're Black or brown. And this is one of those fuels for their far right extreme ideology.
And I don't know if it's done any more damage or if it's just lent some credibility to what they're thinking. And when I say credibility, not legitimate credibility, but credibility in their own mind that that this is going to reaffirm what they think is right or what they think is wrong. I do think that I don't think that in the long run it's going to make any changes. It's just like the far left who want to have new gun laws because we have some people getting shot. They're going to use whatever fodder they have to try and establish their argument. And
I really didn't understand. Yeah, somebody say he lost you. I think they both lost me on that. And then this man talk about the gun laws. No, I don't think people getting shot and somebody taking one up the rump, underage children, prepubescent children. I don't think that's the same thing. I think that's not the same, sir.
who try to use this to establish their argument, but hopefully level heads will prevail.
I don't know about that one, man. All I know is that none of these people who are doing this stuff are properly vetted. That's always been the problem. How when you take a child away from a parent who proves that they're not a qualified parent, then you take them and just put them in somebody else's house. Like, you know what, you're a relative, you're good, give us your name and phone number, and maybe we'll check on you, maybe we won't. That's not a good thing to do. They need to be through an extensive background check, and they need to be checked on all the time. So if you're going to have this system, I think if you're going to have it, you need to do it right. And everybody needs to be checked out all the time, regardless of whatever your sexual preferences are. I think it's just that simple. They didn't vet these dudes. They didn't know how depraved these individuals are. 6 life sentences? What do y'all think about that? Do y'all think that's fair? 6 life sentences? Let me be real. Let me be another level of real. Because as much as I can say that to hell with them and they messed over kids and they deserve whatever they get, we can say that. But does 6 life sentences fit this punishment? Nobody is dead here. These children will at least get an opportunity to grow up and become something great under somebody else's roof. I'm an advocate for children, and I'm saying if that's what they're going to convict them with, fine. Let me know what you guys think, if y'all think that's a suitable punishment for what they're probably about to get convicted for. But let me know what you guys think. Thank you.